All we know about that, I think, at this point, I've said this before and I believe it's true. I don't think there's anything official out there. This is a hypothetical.
I could say, no, don't give us, I want to pay you $1 billion or 400 million or whatever it is.
I could be a stupid person, say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
Okay, welcome back to the Deep Dive Report Show. And seriously, if you're not absolutely furious about this latest thing, well, you need to pay closer attention. We are talking about a potential multi-million-dollar gift. Yeah, heavy air quotes on gift. A freaking Boeing 747 from Qatar to Donald Trump. I mean, the audacity. It makes your head spin, right? A foreign government just hands over a luxury jumbo jet to a president. What in the actual hell is going on here?
It is genuinely jaw-dropping. And look, while we've seen, potential conflicts before, the sheer scale of this alleged gift, it just magnifies every concern by like a factor of 1,000.
Totally.
It really forces you to stop and think about the real implications.
Absolutely. And the reactions, some of them are so tepid, so frankly pathetic. It just adds fuel to the fire. Like Senator John Thune. Let's play that clip of him doing his little tiptoe routine.
Listen to how carefully he steers clear of anything definite. It's all hypothetical.
Right.
It's a classic way to downplay something that, obviously could be massively problematic.
Okay, here's Thune.
Are you comfortable with President Trump taking ownership of this Qatari plane and then possibly using it and then in the post-presidency as well?
All we know about that, I think, at this point, I've said this before and I believe it's true. I don't think there's anything official out there. This is a hypothetical. And I'm sure that if and when there is, it's no longer a hypothetical. I can assure you there will be plenty of scrutiny of whatever that arrangement might look like.
Scrutiny. Oh, that sounds good, doesn't it? Very reassuring.
Yeah, right.
But you got to ask, scrutiny from who and what kind? Is there any actual power behind it?
Exactly. Scrutiny from the same folks who've just looked the other way time and time again. It's a complete joke. It's like promising to investigate the arsonist after the whole damn block is ashes. And the double standard, it is infuriating. They scream bloody murder over every tiny little thing on the other side, but a potential bribe the size of an airliner, suddenly let's wait and see. It's hypothetical.
Well, if you look at the bigger picture, this whole thing really does shine a light on how differently ethical lines are drawn or maybe ignored across the political spectrum, especially when you have a figurehead who commands such intense loyalty.
It's way beyond just a difference in perception. It feels like a total dereliction of duty. Are they honestly so scared of ticking off part of their base that they'll just ignore something this blatant? And don't even get me started on the national security nightmare this could turn into. Thune barely even touches it.
And that's a critical point, isn't it? The potential vulnerabilities. You've got a president, someone who definitely still has access to sensitive information, potentially accepting this kind of unbelievably extravagant gift from a foreign power. The potential for influence, whether it's intended or not, it's just huge.
Let's hear a bit more from Senator Hypothetical Thune. Listen to him acknowledge the serious questions with all the urgency of deciding on, a sandwich filling.
Pay attention to the words he uses. That's also vague, so hesitant. There's zero real alarm there. Okay, here's more Thune.
Might look like.
I'm concerned with the national security implications of that jet being given as a gift to the president.
Well, again, like I said, there'll be plenty of scrutiny. There are lots of issues around that I think will attract very serious questions if and when it happens. At this point, all we've heard about is something that might.
Lots of issues, very serious questions, something that, wow, that is a masterclass in saying precisely nothing.
You could fly a whole squadron of 747s through the holes in that statement. Unbelievable. But it's not just Thune, right? Even Republicans who are supposedly, the reasonable ones, are offering these incredibly weak critiques, like Rand Paul. He said he doesn't like the look or the appearance of it. The appearance, Senator. Seriously. We're talking massive potential foreign influence, maybe bribery, and you're worried about the optics, the paint job.
That focus on just the optics, yeah. Instead of the actual substance, the ethics, the security. It's a common tactic that lets you sound like you're critiquing it without actually tackling the real problem head on.
It's like, oh, look, the curtains are slightly crooked while robbers are clearing out your entire house. But then, okay, you get Ted Cruz. He actually brought up Qatar's support for Hamas.
Qataris, over the years, they now plan to provide a plane to the president. There's some questions about the Emoluments Clause and whether it's going to go to his library, whether he's going to get to fly on it afterwards. What are your thoughts about all this?
Well, listen, I'm not a fan of Qatar. I think they have a really disturbing pattern of funding theocratic lunatics who want to murder us, funding Hamas and Hezbollah. And that's a real problem. I also think that the plane poses significant espionage and surveillance problems. So
maybe a flicker of actual sense there.
Well, those points Senator Cruz makes are certainly valid, very valid. But the key question remains, is this going to lead anywhere? Is there going to be any real action? Or is it just, voicing concern without actually challenging Trump?
That's exactly it. Is Cruz going to demand hearings? Is he going to call for Trump to just flat out reject this insane so-called gift? I am not holding my breath. He'll probably fire off a few angry tweets and then fall right back in line. But here's what's really telling. Apparently, this whole mess has created a rare bipartisan moment. Even some people in the right-wing media are raising red flags. Let's hear what Ben Shapiro had to say about it.
Yeah, hearing criticism from Mr. Shapiro is pretty significant, considering his history of strong conservative commentary and support. It really suggests that the situation might have crossed a line, even for some people deep within that ideological camp.
Okay, here's Shapiro. Podcaster Ben Shapiro also criticized the deal on his show Monday, saying,
"It is a $400 million gift available for use by President Trump as new Air Force One until shortly before he leaves office, at which time, according to the deal, the plane doesn't stay with the United States government. It then moves to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation, taking sacks of goodies from people who support Hamas, the Muslim Brotherhood, Al Jazeera, all the rest. That's not America first. Like, please define America first in a way that says you should take sacks of cash from the Qatari royals who are behind Al Jazeera. It just isn't America first in any conceivable way." So
him calling it skeezy stuff, that word choice, really highlights this feeling of impropriety that even staunch conservatives seem to be picking up on here.
Skeezy stuff. Come on, Ben. That's like calling a 5-alarm fire a bit warm. This is potentially monumental corruption. And it's not only Shapiro, even Laura Loomer. I mean, someone who almost never breaks from total Trump support, she called it a stain and said she was disappointed. When you start losing Laura Loomer on something like this, you know you've gone completely off the rails.
Mrs. Loomer's reaction, it really does emphasize just how extreme this situation looks and the potential it has to alienate even those dedicated parts of his base.
Now let's flip over to the Democrats, who, thank God, are actually calling this what it is.
Senator Chris Murphy didn't pull any punches. He called it exactly what it looks like, a bribe.
Senator Murphy's directness there, it just cuts through all the usual political spin, doesn't it? It clearly lays out the potential quid pro quo that's just staring us in the face with something like this.
Right. Here's Murphy's take. This isn't a good idea even if the plane was being donated to the U.S. government, but Trump gets to keep the plane. Sandtech, Chris Murphy Decon said in a post on X. It's simply a cash payment to Trump in exchange for favors. Just wildly illegal.
And that point about ownership, that's absolutely crucial. If the president personally keeps this plane, owns it outright, then all the legal and ethical alarm bells around the Emoluments Clause start ringing even louder. Trump gets to keep the plane. I mean, the sheer entitlement is just, it's staggering. This isn't some souvenir keychain, it's a luxury airliner, possibly paid for by a foreign state. And Senator Jeanne Shaheen, she immediately honed in on the very real security risks.
Senator Shaheen's point about potential surveillance tech, that really brings home the serious national security vulnerabilities. I mean, there's a reason why aircraft used by presidents and high-ranking officials have incredibly specific, stringent security protocols.
Exactly. We're not discussing a fancy letter opener here. This is a highly complex piece of machinery that could be absolutely riddled with who knows what kind of listening devices or tracking tech. And okay, even if the plane itself is quote unquote free, the cost of actually securing it, making it safe, that would almost certainly fall on us, the American taxpayers. It's the total grift wrapped up in a security nightmare.
And that brings up huge questions too about the financial side, the burden. Who's ultimately responsible for ensuring the security of an aircraft like that, especially if it's privately owned?
Even Senator Shelley Moore Capito, hardly a firebrand liberal, said her first thought would be checking it for bugs. Let's see what she said.
Yeah, Senator Capito's reaction is just, it's common sense, isn't it? It underlines the kind of basic concerns that really should cut across any partisan lines in a situation like this.
Here she is. Senator Shelley Moore Capito, RWV, told CNN that the White House needs to ensure the constitutionality of accepting such a gift and raise national security concerns. I'd be checking for bugs is what I'd be checking for.
And notice she hits both points, the constitutionality and the security risks. Those are really the two massive red flags here.
I'd be checking for bugs. Seriously. What on earth does Qatar expect to get in return for this multi-million-dollar flying palace? It just screams quid pro quo. And Trump's reaction to all this, he apparently thinks it's a great gesture and that he'd be stupid not to take
I
it.
could be a stupid person, say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
That characterization from the president, it really just brushes aside all the legitimate ethical and security worries, doesn't it? It focuses entirely on what he sees as a personal gain.
Oh, okay. So it's stupid to follow basic ethics.
Yeah.
Stupid to prioritize national security. Got it. Good to know. And this whole ridiculous song and dance about how maybe it could be like a temporary Air Force One. Come on, nobody with half a functioning brain cell is buying that excuse. Even Rand Paul pointed out the most obvious constitutional problem, the Emoluments Clause.
Yes, the Emoluments Clause. It's right there in the Constitution. It explicitly forbids government officials from taking gifts or payments from foreign countries without Congress saying, okay, first, this potential gift on its face seems like a direct clash with that fundamental rule.
Let's hear Paul. Senator Rand Paul, RKY, said on Fox Business that he opposes the deal, citing conflict of interest concerns with U.S.-Qatar arms sales. The Constitution specifically says you can't take gifts from foreign leaders.
That direct reference to the Constitution, yeah. It really puts the spotlight on the fundamental legal problems here.
Boom. Right there. It's not some dense, complicated legal argument. It's plain English in the Constitution. But apparently for some people, the Constitution is just, I guess, a gentle suggestion. And the White House press secretary actually had the nerve to say any gift would be accepted in full compliance with all applicable laws. Oh yeah, sure it would.
That statement certainly does raise more questions than it answers, given all the ethical and legal red flags already flying.
Thankfully, you do have some Republicans, like Rick Scott, calling this out plainly.
Senator Scott's assessment is pretty blunt, isn't it? It highlights the potential national security dangers in really clear terms.
Here's Scott. Senator Rick Scott took a hard line, telling The Hill, I'm not flying on a Qatari plane. They support Hamas. I don't know how you make it safe.
That direct link he makes, Qatar supporting Hamas, therefore the plane is a security risk. It's a very powerful, very direct point.
I'm not flying on a Qatari plane. They support Hamas. See? It's really not that complicated, is it? But then you get people like Senator Tommy Tuberville saying, quote, free is good.
And that, folks, is basically where we are. It's either complete willful blindness or just utter contempt for any kind of standards.
That contrast is incredibly stark, isn't it? Within the same party, you have such wildly different responses. It really shows the deep splits and the conflicting priorities when it comes to dealing with this specific issue and Trump. And that really brings us to the core of this deep dive, doesn't it? This whole potential multi-million-dollar Boeing 747 thing from Qatar to Trump. It's drawn fire from all over the political map, although, yeah, the heat varies wildly. You've got Democrats flat out calling it a bribe. Some Republicans are muttering about optics, while a few others are actually raising the serious security and constitutional flags. And crucially, even voices on the right, like Ben Shapiro and Laura Loomer, are saying, whoa, this is bad. So look, this isn't just about some ridiculously expensive airplane. It forces all of us, you listening right now, to grapple with these huge questions about foreign influence peddling in our politics, about the basic ethical conduct we should demand from leaders, and frankly, about the overall health of American democracy. What kind of precedent does it set if a president can even think about accepting a gift like this from a foreign power? It's deeply, deeply troubling, and it needs constant attention, constant scrutiny, real scrutiny.
Absolutely. The sheer breadth of the concerns being raised, from ethics to national security to fundamental constitutional law, it really underlines just how many layers there are to this potential deal and why it matters so much.
You got it. Stick with us here on the Deep Dive Report Show, because we are going to keep digging into these critical stories. Hey, before you go, make sure you drop your thoughts in the comments below. We do read them. And please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and definitely click that notification bell so you don't miss our next deep dive when the news breaks. We'll catch you next time.